The wind along the northern coast was a strange kind of violent, cold, forceful and somehow alive, as if the ocean itself had a voice that rose in warning whenever a storm prepared to break. Over the cliffs, Gabriel Cross never liked that sound. Even after years of living in the small town of Haven Reach with his 8-year-old daughter, he had never learned to ignore the way the roar of the waves echoed through him like a distant memory he didn't want to revisit. But tonight, that roar was different, sharper, panicked. A sound that made him stop in the middle of the rocky path as Scout, his loyal black shepherd, barked toward the edge. Gabriel tightened his grip on the harness. "What is it, boy?" Scout rarely barked without reason. A decade of search and rescue work together had forged a silent language between them. The dog lunged again. There was someone out there. Gabriel felt the truth like a punch. The storm had rolled in too fast, too strange, too dangerous. No fisherman or hiker would willingly be this close to the cliff in weather like this. Scout whined, tugged harder. "All right," Gabriel breathed. "Lead." They moved quickly, boots slamming against wet rock, mist spraying their faces. Thunder rumbled overhead as Scout pulled Gabriel toward a jagged section of cliff known for collapses. He could barely see through the wind-driven rain, but he could hear something now, faint, desperate. A cry, then another. His heart lurched. "Hey! Hold on, I'm coming." And then he saw her. Or rather, he saw the impossible. A silver SUV dangled halfway off the cliff, the front half suspended in open air, the back tires skidding as mud gave way beneath them. Leaning out of the shattered driver's side window was a woman, blonde hair plastered to her cheeks, face streaked with rain, eyes wide with terror. Her voice cracked through the storm. "Please, someone, help!" The SUV slid another inch. She clung to the frame. Gabriel didn't hesitate. This was what he did, what he used to do. And no matter how hard he had tried to run from his past life, it exploded back into existence the moment he heard someone cry for help. "I've got you," he shouted, dropping to his knees just a few feet from the edge. "Just don't move." She trembled so violently he feared she'd fall before he got to her. Scout barked, stepping close, ready for Gabriel's command. "What's your name?" he yelled. Alicia." Her breath hitched as the vehicle groaned and tilted again. I didn't see the curve, my brakes." "It's all right." Gabriel kept his voice steady. "Calm saves people. Panic kills them. I'm Gabriel. I'm going to pull you out." "Please," she choked, sobbing. "My door is jammed." "I know, you're doing great. Just stay with me." He crawled forward, anchoring one boot behind a boulder, gripping the drenched grass. He reached out, hand extended, but she was still inches too far. The SUV shuddered. He lunged. Their fingers met, and for a breathless second he thought he had her. But the metal groaned and the vehicle slid another foot. Alicia screamed. "Move, Gabe, now." He twisted his wrist, grabbed the torn metal of the window frame, and hauled himself closer until he could grip her forearm with both hands. She clung to him, nails digging through his soaked sleeve. "I'm slipping." "No, you're not." He braced every muscle in his body. "When I say push, you give me everything you've got." She nodded through tears. "Push." She shoved upward with her feet while he pulled with all his strength. The SUV tipped forward, wheels losing the last of their grip. "Come on," he roared. Her body lurched upward, and with one final heave, he wrenched her through the window and rolled them both, away from the breaking edge as the SUV plummeted into the churning sea below. The crash was thunderous. Alicia sobbed into his chest, shaking uncontrollably. Scout nudged her with a soft whine. "You're safe," Gabriel murmured, holding her tighter as the ground shook from the collapse. "I've got you. You're safe now." She lifted her head slowly, her breath brushing his throat. When her eyes met his, blue, striking, terrified, and yet full of something else, he felt the world narrow to that single moment. "Thank you," she whispered, voice trembling. "I thought I was going to die." "Not while I'm around," he said. And he meant it. By the time the storm eased, paramedics and police had swarmed the cliff. They peppered Gabriel with questions: what had happened, how he'd reached her, whether he realized how dangerous his rescue had been. He answered mechanically, the way he always had. Alicia Caldwell, the woman he'd just pulled from certain death, was wrapped in a blanket, leaning against an ambulance. She kept glancing at him from a distance, as if she were trying to reconcile reality with the impossible. Gabriel Cross, The town's quiet single dad who fixed boats and kept to himself, was not the kind of man anyone expected to see, pulling a millionaire heiress out of a car dangling off a cliff. But here they were. When the officers left him, he stepped toward her. "You doing all right?" he asked. She looked up at him, eyes softening. "I don't know how to thank you." "You don't need to." "I do," she insisted, gripping the blanket tighter. "I owe you my life." He gave a faint smile. "Just happened to be in the right place." "But you didn't just find me," she said. "You saved me. No one else could have done what you did." She didn't know how true that was. Most people didn't dangle off cliffs on ordinary afternoons. And most people didn't have Gabriel's past. Years of elite training, military rescue operations, and impossible missions that had taken more from him than he ever admitted. He cleared his throat. "Driving up here in a storm like this, why?" Her expression changed, something shadowed heavy. "I was trying to get away," she whispered. "From the people who want something from me. From my father's company. From the press. From everything." He let her words settle. "You picked a hell of a place to hide." She gave an embarrassed laugh. "Yeah, didn't think almost dying would be part of the plan." "No one does." The wind lifted her hair slightly and she shivered. "You need a place to stay tonight," he said. "The roads are a mess and your car is, well, at the bottom of the ocean," she said dryly. "Pretty much." "I can get a hotel." "Haven Reach doesn't have hotels," he interrupted gently. "But you can stay at my place. My daughter and I have a spare room." She blinked in surprise. I don't want to impose." "You're not. And I'm not letting you wander around freezing and alone." Her lips parted, the beginnings of a grateful smile forming. "Thank you," she said quietly. They reached his small cliffside home 20 minutes later. Alicia took everything in with cautious wonder. The cedar porch, the soft glow of the living room lamp through the window, the wild coastal view stretching behind the house. "I thought you meant a cabin," she murmured. "This is beautiful." "It's home." He opened the door and a young girl with brown curls rushed toward them. "Dad, Scout came back without you and I thought—" She froze when she saw Alicia. Gabriel crouched to her level. "Hey, Brooke, everything's okay. This is Alicia. I helped her out of a bad spot." Brooklyn's wide eyes shifted to Alicia. "Hi." Alicia smiled, kneeling awkwardly in her still paramedic-issued blanket. "Hi, sweetheart. Your dad is a hero." Brooklyn grinned proudly. "I know." Gabriel felt warmth bloom in his chest the way it always did whenever Brooklyn said something that made all the hard years worth it. "Let's get you dry," he said to Alicia. An hour later, Alicia stood in Gabriel's kitchen wearing a pair of Brooklyn's oversized sweats and a soft t-shirt he'd found for her. She looked strange and lovely in clothes that were too big, her wet hair braided loosely by Brooklyn, who had taken to her almost instantly. Gabriel watched from across the counter as Alicia held a mug of peppermint tea in both hands, inhaling its steam with a look of exhausted peace. "I still can't believe today happened," she said. He leaned back against the counter. "Adrenaline hasn't worn off yet." "It's more than that," she looked at him. "Everyone in my world, they want something from me, money, deals, favors even. Affection sometimes comes with strings. But you—" Her voice wavered. "You risked your life for me without knowing anything about me." "That's what people are supposed to do," he said softly. "No," she whispered, meeting his eyes. "Not anymore." Something passed between them then, an unspoken thread, thin but electric. Need. Recognition. Two people from different worlds, both running from something, both carrying wounds that weren't quite healed. "You should rest," he said quietly. She nodded. "Will you be here in the morning?" "Yeah." He smiled. "I'm not going anywhere." Her eyes softened. And for the first time since he'd pulled her off the cliff, she looked genuinely safe. She slept for nearly 12 hours. By noon the next day, she was dressed in borrowed jeans and a hoodie, sitting at the small kitchen table while Gabriel flipped pancakes and Brooklyn told her the entire story of Scout saving a baby seal last spring. Alicia laughed, a soft, warm sound that made Gabriel glance over his shoulder. "Dad makes the best pancakes," Brooklyn boasted. "Oh, yeah?" Alicia said. "How do you know?" "Because I'm a pancake expert, obviously." Alicia shook her head with a smile. Brooklyn leaned in conspiratorially. "Dad doesn't cook for many people, you know." Gabriel shot her a look. Brooke. What? She said innocently. It's true. Alicia blushed faintly. Here, Gabriel said, placing a plate in front of her. Brooke's standards are unreasonable, so don't feel pressured. Alicia took a bite, then froze. Oh my God, she whispered. These are incredible. Brooklyn lifted her hands triumphantly. Told you. Alicia laughed again, and something about that sound tugged at Gabriel in a way he wasn't expecting. He liked having her here. He liked it too much. And that alone made him cautious. Later that afternoon, a knock came at the door. Alicia stiffened instantly. Gabriel noticed. Expecting someone? She swallowed. No. Scout barked once, not an alarm bark, but enough to make Gabriel's instincts rise anyway. He opened the door and found two men in immaculate suits standing on the porch. Mr. Cross? The taller one asked. Who's asking? We're looking for Alicia Caldwell. Alicia appeared in the hallway behind him, breath catching. Derek? The shorter man stepped forward. Miss Caldwell, thank God we've been searching everywhere. The press is tracking your GPS signal. Your family is worried sick. I turned off my phone, she said tightly. I needed space. Your father is requesting your presence immediately. Her jaw clenched. Gabriel saw the fear in her eyes. Not danger. Pressure. The kind that crushes people slowly. You don't have to go, he said gently. Her eyes flicked to him. The taller man cleared his throat. Miss Caldwell's responsibilities are urgent. No, Gabriel said, stepping subtly between them. What she needs right now is time. Mr. Cross, Derek said sharply. This is a family matter. Alicia swallowed hard, voice barely above a whisper. He's right, but I don't want to go back yet. Gabriel turned to her. Then stay. She looked at him, really. Looked, and the answer formed on her face before she spoke it. I'm staying. The men exchanged a frustrated glance. Miss Caldwell, Derek pressed. Your father won't be pleased. For once, she said, her voice trembling with newfound strength. He'll have to deal with it. When Gabriel closed the door, she leaned back against it, exhaling. Thank you, she whispered. Anytime. But he saw the truth in her eyes. She wasn't just hiding from cameras. She was running from a life she wasn't sure she wanted anymore. And now, because he'd said the words that empowered her, then stay, he was right in the middle of it. As days passed, Alicia settled into the rhythms of Gabriel's quiet life. She helped Brooklyn with homework, walked Scout along the cliffs, avoiding the edge this time, and learned how to make Gabriel's famous pancakes. The three of them became something like a strange, unexpected family. One evening, after Brooklyn fell asleep on the couch, Alicia and Gabriel stepped outside to watch the sunset bleeding into the ocean. The air was cold enough that their breath fogged in front of them. Do you miss it? She asked softly. The life you had before? He hesitated. Parts of it. And the rest? He stared at the horizon. I left because staying was killing me. Losing my wife, raising Brooke alone, I needed to give her a childhood that wasn't covered in danger and grief. That's why you save people, she murmured. Because you couldn't save the person you loved. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. She reached for his hand. You saved me. His fingers curled around hers. I know. The quiet between them shifted, warmer, more intimate, heavier with things unsaid. You don't have to go back, he whispered. She breathed out shakily. I know. So what do you want, Alicia? She turned to face him fully, the wind teasing strands of her hair around her cheeks. I want a life that feels real, she whispered. One where people see me, not my father's name. One where I'm not a paycheck or a headline. One where I can breathe. And here, he asked, can you breathe here? She stepped closer. Yes, she murmured. Because of you. Before he could speak, she rose onto her toes, hesitating only a heartbeat before brushing her lips to his. It was soft at first, a question formed in warmth. Then Gabriel cupped her jaw, pulled her closer and kissed her like he'd been holding his breath since the moment he dragged her from the cliff's edge. Alicia melted against him. The wind whipped around them, and for the first time in years, Gabriel Cross felt the world settle into a shape that made sense. But the world does not stay gentle for long. 3 mornings later, Gabriel woke to frantic knocking. He opened the door to find Derek again. Only this time he wasn't alone. Several cars were parked along the road. Flashing cameras, reporters, noise, and behind them, stepping out of a sleek black SUV, was a man Gabriel immediately recognized from newspapers and finance magazines. Richard Caldwell, Alicia's father. "Where is my daughter?" he demanded. Alicia appeared beside Gabriel, breath catching sharply. "Dad?" Richard pushed forward. "Alicia, what in God's name are you doing here? The board is in chaos. The media is swarming. You disappeared without warning." "I needed time," she said. "So you run off with a stranger?" He snapped, glaring at Gabriel. "Hey," Gabriel said evenly, "easy. You have no idea the damage this has caused." Richard continued, ignoring him. "You can't simply abandon your responsibilities. You are a Caldwell." "No," she said quietly. "I'm Alicia." Richard's jaw tightened. "Get your things. We're leaving." She didn't move. "No," she said again, louder this time. "I'm not going back." Richard stared at her, stunned. "You're confused. You're emotional. You nearly died, for God's sake. You need stability, not—" He gestured at Gabriel with disdain. That struck something deep and painful in Gabriel's chest. Alicia stepped in front of him protectively. "This man saved my life," she said. "He gave me a place to stay." "A safe place. Something I've never had with you, not really." Richard's icy facade cracked just slightly. "Alicia," he said more softly, "come home. We'll talk about everything. I'll give you space, "No," she said. "I'm staying." Richard exhaled shakily, defeated. "This is your decision?" "Yes." He closed his eyes and nodded. Then he walked back to his SUV without another word. The reporters followed, shouting questions, and within minutes, the road was empty again. Alicia turned to Gabriel. He expected her to cry. Instead, she threw her arms around him. "You okay?" he murmured. "Yes," she breathed, "because I finally chose for myself." Brooklyn peeked out from behind the curtain. "Are you staying forever now?" Alicia laughed through her tears. "If your dad will let me." Gabriel cupped her cheek, thumb brushing her skin. "You're not a guest anymore," he said softly. "You're home." Her breath caught, and then she kissed him again, longer, deeper, with the fierce certainty of someone who had finally found solid ground after years of falling. Alicia never returned to her old life the way her family expected. Instead, she rebuilt something new, slowly, thoughtfully, on her own terms. She invested in Haven Reach, revitalizing small businesses, funding rescue equipment, and establishing a foundation for coastal safety. She stayed with Gabriel in Brooklyn, at first as a guest, then as something more, then as something real enough that Gabriel no longer imagined his life without her. And sometimes, when storms rolled in and the wind howled, along the cliffs, Alicia would rest her head on Gabriel's shoulder, fingers laced with his, heart steady and full. Because she knew one thing with absolute certainty. The night her car dangled over the cliff, she didn't just survive. She found the one person who would jump into the impossible for her every time. And she chose him. The man who saved her life, and the man she would spend the rest of hers with.